So usually Lynn and I lecture at Food for Health, which is the second Tuesday of every month, September through May. And next week we have a lecture I do on depression. Food and depression is interesting. It's actually not just any depression, but seasonal affective disorder. And we usually talk about light with that. But I will talk about light, but also about food and depression. But that's next week. And if you wish to know the schedule of lectures, I'm sure they have a handout you can get from Kate Parker or someone else on that. And there's tasting of food every time. We brought a little bit of a taste today, but we thought, well, there's going to be a lot of food here, and so you probably don't want much to eat. So we just brought some fruit leather, and it's made with applesauce, actually, and you can try that out. But this class started in, we had several classes so far. It started in the spring with how to plant a garden. And then we're at harvest time, so how to preserve your food. And we'll go over some different canning methods and things like that. We should give you a handout, actually. Lynn, if you could pass that out. Right at the top of your handout is a recipe for dilly beans. And we were going to share some of those with you, but they got left at home. And you have the recipe. Many people eat dill pickles. They're great, but pickled beans are really good, and they're so easy to make. Most of you probably know if you're going to can beans or anything with a pH above 4.6, if you want to avoid botulism, you have to pressure cook it. And you have to pressure cook it for about an hour at 10 pounds pressure. And so you have to be very careful. But if you make the if you make dilly beans or dill pickle beans, if you will, the pH is lower because you add lemon juice or vinegar, although I prefer lemon juice, and that's what you'll find in this. And if you drop the pH below 4.6, then you can do regular canning, and you don't have to worry about botulism. So most of what we do is just canning, and there's several kinds, as it's mentioned on your handout there. There's hot pack and cold pack canning. And we do mostly cold pack, but we do hot pack in some cases. And we'll talk about that. Some of what we'll show you has to do with vacuum packing. Does anyone here vacuum pack? Okay, how do you do it? Do you have a machine?
Yes.
Yeah, you can buy a machine to do it. We like to vacuum pack in jars. Because that gives you a really nice clean thing to vacuum pack in, not a lot of plastic touching the food, and it works really well. And you can get a machine and do that. We have one that it was given to us. I'll pass it around. There it's working.
And show them how you put it on.
And you just put it on top of your jar and push the button, and it usually works. And yeah, and you can use you charge it with a USB port. And so I'll pass that around and you can look at it if you'd like to. I never use it. Question?
Do you just use a regular canning jar lid?
I'll show you how we do it. And you want to get out here they are right here. Here's one, and what I will actually do is I'll reseal these. These are sealed, but I'll pass this around, and if anyone wants to use something like this, feel free. And if you really twist my arm, I'll give it to you because I never use it. What we use instead is this simple device. It's called a pump and seal. And Lisa, you looked this up. How much is it?
Total bill is $17.99.
$17.99 for this, and I like it. And I'll show you how it works. What you do is you take a thumbtack with a little stem on it, or if you're doing a lot of them, you can use an awl. And I'm a woodworker, so I have lots of these kind of things around. And you just punch a hole in the lid like this. It doesn't take a very big hole, just a little one. And the pump and seal comes with strips like this. There's just little tape, like a tiny Band-Aid made of plastic. The center of it, instead of having cotton to go over a wound, has non-stick plastic, and the outside has plastic. And you put that right over the hole like that, and then you just push this up and down. It comes with a little plug that you can put in there. I don't bother with that. I just put my finger over the hole, and you just push it up and down like this a few times, and it's sealed, just like that. And then if you listen carefully, you'll hear the seal. Hear that? So it's a really simple thing, and you can use that over and over again. And you can get your frustrations out just doing that. And it's cheap. It doesn't take up much space in the drawer, and you can vacuum pack lots of things.
And see, you know, some things that we can, you almost want to have a lot of them in order to make it worth it. But with this system, it's so easy and so quick. Say you only have like a bowl of tomatoes or a bowl of peaches or a bowl of apples. You can do them and
you can dry them.
Put them in the dehydrator and then put them in dry and seal them, and they stay crisp.
So
They stay beautiful and crisp. They don't kind of get all.
So you can't use that on wet.
No, it has to be-
Only
you
dry.
can, it won't keep for a long time, but if you get strawberries fresh from the market and you vacuum pack them, they'll last about twice to 3 times as long. You can often get strawberries to last 2 weeks in vacuum pack.
And you wash them? You don't wash them?
You wash them, that's fine, and put it in the refrigerator, but I mean, usually strawberries will go bad in a few days. But if you vacuum pack it, it will. But we
pulls the air out.
don't usually vacuum pack strawberries, we eat them. But if you dry them, you can do this, or if you freeze dry them, you can do this as well, and then you're not packing in plastic. And although we have some plastic here today, we wouldn't use this long term. We try to pack in glass.
You know, and there are so many different things that you can use this with. Like, I love to dry herbs, and so this is basil.
She's from New Zealand, she meant herbs.
So this is basil, and you can just put it in the dehydrator and dry it, and then vacuum pack it, and it stays good for a long time. Wonderful.
You've heard of Indians parching their corn? That's just dry, basically dried corn. And you can feel free to try some of this. It's a little hard, but it goes great in soups. If you have good teeth, you can certainly try that.
This is sweet corn, so it's really good.
Yeah, it's very sweet. I'll pass this around, and if you want to try one, you can. These are just tomatoes, and we dry little plum tomatoes. Our favorite are the Juliettes. And basically what you do is you slice the Juliette. If you can imagine a little tomato about this big, you lay it on the board, you slice it lengthwise almost all the way through, leave a little skin, and then this way, so it's like a plus sign on it, and it lays back on its back, and then it dries like this, almost like a butterfly, and you'll see that when I pass it around. And you can feel free to take one of these, and we do lots of things with these. You can put them in stews just like they are.
And soups.
Works great. Soups. You can blend them in your blender and turn them to powder. And then you have a base for tomato sauce or tomato paste, depending on how much water you add. We make our pizza sauce with these, and you can make a really good pizza sauce. Often when you're using tomatoes, you take the skin off. We don't like to do that because guess where most of the antioxidants are? It's in the skin. And I want the seeds there, I want the full nutrition, and you get it that way, and you can make the best tomato base from these. Could you dry regular big tomatoes? Yes, but it sticks more. The reason we slice it the way we do is so then only the skin is touching the drier sheet, and then it doesn't stick badly. So you just lay it here, and then you put them in, and away you go. It takes about a day and a half to dry tomatoes, and we put it, this is on 85 degrees, and we'll put it about 100 degrees to dry tomatoes. So I'll pass that around. Again, it's sealed, but we can reseal it very easily. And if you want one, don't put your fingers in there, shake it out on your hand.
So another thing that's really wonderful about dehydrating vegetables is that they require very little storage space.
Yeah,
Trying to think,
this,
like for a 5-gallon buckets.
yeah, this right here, this quart is about a gallon of tomatoes. So it's much less storage space. And
It's also very quick. And as I said earlier, if you only have half an hour or an hour, you can do a lot. And yeah, that's been a really positive thing for us.
yeah. Question?
The Juliet's, is that a hybrid or an heirloom tomato?
It's a hybrid.
It's hybrid.
Yeah. But you can get heirloom Romas, and they work just fine. It's just, if you can't cut them so they lay on the skin, then they're going to be messier. And I'd like to avoid a mess whenever possible.
The nice thing about Juliet's, we've been growing tomatoes in Maine for 30 years, 32 years?
35, 36 years.
And of all the tomatoes we've tried, the Juliets seem to be the most disease resistant.
You always get a dependable crop with them.
And the other thing that's true is after they're picked, I'll put them in a bucket, so like maybe they're not totally dark red when I pick them, and let them ripen, and they just stay beautiful.
Yeah.
They don't decompose or have
Well, they
trouble.
do eventually.
Yes.
But they're a very good keeper for tomatoes. Yeah. All right, any questions about drying? The other thing you can do is you can do nuts this way, nuts and seeds. And we do our nuts and seeds in half-gallon jars. Some people put them in the freezer, but this doesn't require any electricity. So it's, I like it better.
It's
I'm
wonderful.
basically cheap.
But we do our cashews and our sunflower seeds and our walnuts. We all go in
And they
a
stay
jar.
good for years.
Yeah. It's really
Question?
Isn't it dehydrated or do you?
We have an Excalibur, but it's not this fancy. This one belongs to the department here. There are several kinds of dehydrators. The Excalibur has trays that slide in and out. That's really good for things that you slice. It's great for drying apples. It's good for drying peaches, tomatoes, but it's not so good for basil or kale. Anyone made kale chips before? They can be really good, but the dryers that stack work better because leaves can be compressed very easily, and you have a lot of space that a leaf takes up, and if you have this, it's a mess. And so we've had the stackable kind too. Currently, we don't. All we have is 2 Excaliburs. This is an expensive model. Again, I like less expensive, and we have the low-end Excalibur. You can get an all-metal dryer, and then you don't have to deal with the plastic end of it. But Excalibur is a good brand.
Have you sealed this one?
Okay, so my wife wants me to reseal this, but I don't know where the pump and seal went. Here it is. So I'll reseal it. Yes.
So you can open that jar multiple times, not take the little yellow strip off, and then just seal it again. Like we're
Right.
doing right now.
Yes.
Now it's sealed. Just that fast. And so you reuse it over and over again. Occasionally this will deteriorate and it won't hold the seal. Okay, but you can use it over and over. What we do is after we seal it, if we're going to keep it in the cupboard, we'll put a ring on it just to give it a little tighten, and then it holds it a little more firmly. But this corn didn't have a ring on it, and we sealed it last year, and it's still well sealed. So it works great. Question, Ralph.
I was going to say, I used to dry things like tomatoes without sealing them.
They
and-
turn
and
black.
They turned black. And what I've really appreciated about sealing them is they hold their color and they hold their texture.
And if they hold their
And their
color, they hold their antioxidants. And that's what we really want. If it doesn't look good, probably isn't. Yeah.
Those black ones would have been good, though, no?
Yeah, they're still edible,
But they weren't as good.
but they're not as nutrient dense. Yeah.
I have $150 brake booster for bleeding brakes, and it's got a vacuum pump on it. I can use that.
Absolutely. You can get I use a hand pump brake bleeder as well. You can get a device that goes over one of these. You don't have to put a hole in it then, and if you have a brake bleeder like mine, you can just squeeze it and do it. This is faster. But if you have an electric brake bleeder,
That sounds good.
then it works even better. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, but if you're a mechanic, use your brake bleeder. Yeah. Any other questions about vacuum packing? This is really simple. If you don't have a brake bleeder, a pump and seal, 18, 20 bucks, somewhere in there. And I bought another one because we had used this for so long, I was afraid it was going to go bad. Well, we're still using it. And we got the other one out because it's a little prettier, and I thought, oh, I'll bring in this one. And it still works great. You can seal plastic bags with it. It comes with a little tube that you plug in this hole, and you slide the tube in the plastic bag, and you vacuum pack it, and then pull the tube out quickly and seal your bag. But I'd rather seal in quart jars or half-gallon jars or whatever kind. All right. So again, there are many, many things that you can seal in those, anything that's dry. All right, the next thing that we'll talk about is canning. And I mentioned that a little bit ago. We don't do any pressure cooking canning. Too much work. If you want to can corn or beans or any pH neutral food, you have to pressure cook it. Because if you don't, you're at risk for botulism. And that can be deadly. You don't want to get botulism. So if you want to do that, great. Get a pressure cooker. and you have to pressure cook corn or beans or other vegetables that have a pH greater than 4.6, you have to do that for 55 minutes for quarts, and about 45 to 50 for pints at 10 pounds pressure. You can do it if you want. But we just can acid pH foods. That's tomatoes. They're acidic enough. If they're not, you can get some tomatoes that don't have any acid at all, and you have to be careful with them, but I like a tomato that has a good bite. Juliet's do, and most tomatoes do. Any fruit, it has a pH of 4.6 or under, except I guess bananas don't, but who wants to can bananas? But your apples, your pears, your peaches, your apricots, your cherries, all of those have a pH of 4.6 or less. And so they can really, really well. Apple butter, we just did this. What we do is if we have leftover apple sauce from last year, we turn it into apple butter. And making apple butter is really easy. All you have to do is make applesauce and dump it into a crock pot and walk away. Well, turn it on.
And stir.
And you stir it every 4 to 8 hours and skim off the mother on the top, and then can it when it gets as thick as you want it. Now, you can add sugar if you want. We never do. You can add cinnamon or cardamom or whatever your heart desires. We just cook the applesauce down. However, our applesauce always has berries in it. Strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, cherries, you name it, we put it in it. We like the pink color. Here's some of the applesauce we made this past week, right here. And this has raspberries in it. And our children come down and make applesauce with us, and friends do. And this year we made 1,280 quarts. It took us 4 days to make that. But we have a system. We have a maple syrup boiling pan, and we put it out in our driveway we have a gravel driveway on cinder blocks, and we can do 128 quarts at a time. When you're canning, in order to sterilize it, even with an acid pH, you have to have it boiling for 20 minutes. Okay, it's got to boil for 20 minutes. If it doesn't, you're going to have problems with mold. It's not going to kill you like botulism. It just is spoiled. So you want to can quarts for 20 minutes and pints for 15. That is, bring it to a boil and then 20 minutes. And the pan that we use, I burn slab wood in it from my sawmill. And from the time I light the fire till I take this off is 45 minutes. So I can 128 quarts in 45 minutes. But you don't have to be crazy like us. You can do it in small batches. And if you're going to do it in small batches, you need a nice big pot, and you need something underneath the jars. You don't put the jars right on the bottom of the pan. I made a round wooden piece and drilled holes in it and put it in. That works great. I got tired of that, and I just got some old fence, woven wire fence, and I cut a circle on that, dropped that in. It works beautifully, and it was way easier, and it dries quicker than the wood. So that works just fine. You don't have to have one of those things with the handles that you lift out. You can lift it out with one of these. Here's an old one we've been using for years. Still works. I don't know what happened to the handle, but it still works. And you can just pick it up out of the water bath like that. So if you're using a pot to do it, we can get 8 quarts in here. Most 5-gallon pans you can only get 7 in, but this one will take 8. And you put it in, you bring it to a boil, leave it for 20 minutes, and then you take them out. One thing that's really important is when you put them in, you want it finger tight. If you tighten it too much, it'll break. And that's a tragedy. You know, so what I do is I use 2 fingers and it just like that. Not like that, because you'll break some. You just want it 2 finger tight like that. Now, when you do that, when it comes out, it's usually pretty loose. So once you take it out of the pot, set it down, and then tighten it, snug it. You don't have to crank it, but just snug it, and that'll help it seal better. And we do that when we do that 128 quart pan, and it doesn't take long to just go along and tighten it like that. And then they seal beautifully.
So when you're loading an applesauce jar, we has where's that little pot?
It's right here. Yeah, this is a pot that I put a hook on. I took the loop off, I put this hook on, and then it just will hang on the edge of the pan. And you'd go like this. Dip up the sauce, then pour it in. 1 quart, 1 quart. Just like that.
But usually I usually use 2 or 3 scoops. And then you take this off and you switch it to another jar. And then when you're ready to lid them, you take like a damp paper towel or something like, and just go around the rim. So
You
make
have to have
sure
the rim
that the rim
clean.
is super clean. And then one thing that's been a huge game changer for me was that we used to put all of our lids, you would boil them for, just so they were nice and hot so they would seal well. And I would take 2 forks and I would grab onto that and do this. And that's okay, like at the beginning of the day, but at the end of the day when you're starting to get tired, it's like, oh, tiring. And then, look at that. It's so nice. And you just use a fork, take it off. So what a good invention.
You can use your finger, you don't need a fork on top.
Anyway.
The reason you boil them is you do want things as clean as possible. And also if it's warm, the rubber there is softer and you get a better seal.
Do you ever use those lids over? Do you use
You absolutely can use them over, but if you're going to do that, you want to, when you take it off, when you're going to eat the food, be careful not to damage the lid. We reused quite a few of them, but a lot of it depends on the quality of the lid. This brand, we bought these from
Layman's. It's an Amish.
Yeah, this is a really good brand. We've never had any of these fail. Lids can be fairly expensive,
So what I've
so we buy
experienced-
them in bulk.
What I do is like, for me, for buying food, period, I buy it in bulk. And I listed two places there, Essential Organic Ingredients and Azure Standard. Essential Organic Ingredients is nice, is they'll bring it to your door, in
They'll mail
in
it.
a truck. And that's nice, it's very convenient. Sometimes their prices are better. Like for dates, Essential Organic Ingredients is cheaper than Azure Standard. But for some other products, Azure Standard has a much better price. So I will usually look at both companies when I'm deciding to make up an order. Azure Standard, they have deliveries and tops them once a month. And they'll say, it'll be there at 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. and you go at 4 o'clock, and there's 50 or 60 people there waiting for the truck, and in 15 minutes it's all done. And the people that come are usually so kind and helpful. And like, there's been times when I've been hefting around, a 50-pound bag of oats or whatever, and almost unfailingly, some young teenager will run out and say, "Ma'am, I'm going to help you carry that to your car." Well, he doesn't know that I carry heavy stuff all the time, but I really appreciate the kindness. That's really special.
Yeah.
So those are two, the differential in price
It's huge.
is huge, and it gives you the chance to get, for instance, organic cashews for sometimes $4 or $5 a pound,
Instead of 8.
which is 8 or 9 or 10 for non-organic.
Yeah. So you can go to Morning Glory and they will order in bulk for you as well. So that's another option. And if you don't want too much of a thing, maybe it comes in a 50-pound bag, get some friends and say, "Would you like to go in with me?" We buy our beans and our lentils and all of those things in 30 to 50-pound bags.
Indeed.
And so if you run out of food this winter, give us a call. We won't, because we've got it in 5-gallon buckets with a screw lid. Has anyone seen those buckets? Yeah, they're great. You get a food-grade plastic bucket, and it has a lid that you snap on, and then it has a rubber ring, and you screw the lid on, and you can open and close it very easily. It keeps all kinds of critters out of it.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's dependably, keeps the food dependably. Before we encountered those, I would go into my pantry and there would be moths flying around. But
Yeah.
I've never had that since
Yeah.
we've used those buckets.
So that's a good way to store things. And we
Those things I
buy,
got from Home Depot. I had
yes,
some at one time.
right. And you can buy them online as well. I think they're called Acme lids. They're screw lids for a plastic bucket. Yeah, fairly easy. And then you can get your grains and your seeds. The seeds we vacuum pack, because anytime you're dealing with seeds, they can go rancid, or nuts. And so we vacuum pack those in half-gallon jars. Any questions before we touch on hot packing?
When you're processing for 20 minutes or so, is there a lot of nutrients that you lose in that?
A great question. You lose about a third of the nutritive value when you cook your fruit. But then it stays good for up to 1.5 to 2 years. With drying, if you vacuum pack, you lose less. It's more like 20%. The lowest loss is with freezing. You lose about 10% if you have if you freeze the food as soon as it comes out of the garden or as soon as you buy it. If you buy broccoli in the store that's frozen, it'll have a better nutritive quality than if you buy fresh broccoli off the shelf. Okay, so don't look down your nose at fresh frozen, because the people that freeze their broccoli do it in the field. It's field frozen, and you lose about 10%, and that nutritive value stays good for about a year. So freezing actually is really good. The only thing that's better is grow your own, pick it out of the garden, and eat it quick. That's better. So fresh frozen is the best. Canning a third, and then it stays good for a year, and drying a little bit less than that, maybe 20%. Great question. Yeah. One thing that you can do, and we have done it with applesauce, is you can buy vitamin C in a powder and put a little bit in the sauce, and it will stay pink instead of going to kind of an amber pinkish color. And when that happens, you know you're losing your vitamin C, so if you add additional, it helps preserve it even better. But it has a little more of a bite to it, you know, because that's an acid. It's a little more sour if you add vitamin C. All right, hot packing. With cold packing, you just put the sauce in there or whatever, and then you boil it. With hot packing, you have to have the jars spotlessly clean.
Which we do with these.
Yeah, you want them boiled, and then everything's really clean, and you add boiling fruit or boiling whatever. It's hot, just out of the pot, and it's bubbling, and then you pour it in, and you seal it. You pour it in with a good, like that, and then as soon as you have it in there, while it's still really hot, you put your lid on and you walk away, you're done. So it's great, but you have to be meticulously clean, like you're a surgeon, or else you lose it. So we've done a lot of applesauce that way, hot packing applesauce. It works great, but you better be cleanly. The cold packing's easy. Who cares? Screw on the lid, drop it in, boil it, and kill all the bugs.
I do.
Lynn's pretty careful no matter what.
I'm really careful with my jars. I wash them all before we can. So.
And here's some salsa that she made as well.
I thought hot packing, you put it in a jar, like I do tomatoes, I hot pack, I put them in there, they're hot, the jars are hot and everything, but I still process them.
Okay,
There's no
so
water bath.
so hot packing, technically, you don't have to do water bath. You keep everything clean, put it on, screw the lid on, and walk away.
So I'm double good.
Yeah, you're double good, but the more you cook it,
Great.
the less nutritive value. Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
We should let them try these. Let's let
Okay. Yes.
So when you hot pack it, I have always, I learned to do that when you're done screwing it on, turn it upside down.
Yeah. And you definitely can when you hot pack.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to. You can just do that. Don't get burned. But all right. So the other thing that we like to do is we like to make fruit leather, and basically all you do is you take a fruit sauce and you pour it out on the trays. Now, I will point out that the trays all have holes. You don't pour it out on that. You get a sheet, and you can get a silicone sheet
They make specifically for this.
or plastic, but you want a food grade plastic if you're going to use that, or silicone. And then you pour it out on that doesn't have holes in it, and you just roll it back and forth till it's the right thickness and stick it in there like that. Yes.
Parchment paper work?
Parchment paper does work. Absolutely, it works great, and you'd have less problem. And if anyone would like to try some of this, we'd be happy to share. You want some? Okay. We'll do that.
So you can come up and get a sample.
Well, I got to figure out how to cut it. I think we can manage that, though. But it is pretty tasty.
I wanted to mention this pot here. So
There's no name on it.
it's Cook's.
Cook Standard.
Cook Standard. This is a Cook Standard pot, and we have some pretty high quality pots.
You'd think so if you paid for them.
They're wonderful pots, and I appreciate them. But Tim found this one, and when he looked at it online, he said, I think that's a really good pot. Let's try it.
That pot was
But
$50.
I thought, $50? Can it really be any good?
And most of them will run you several hundred that are 5-gallon pots.
Anyway, but this pot has been a wonderful. So I just wanted to mention this pot. So if any of you are in the, and it comes in different sizes. It's just,
like it has that extra heavy bottom.
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
That pot doesn't scorch. It's really, really good. The first thing my wife and I ever bought was a mattress. And after that, the next thing we bought was a 5-gallon pot. We're still using it.
it's a Revereware, but it's showing its age. But, you know, that's all right.
Did you say that's a 5-gallon?
Yeah, that's a 5-gallon.
This is wonderful because, like, we use it for cooking our apples with too. So, you know, we'll usually have 2 or 3 of these cooking apples, and yeah, works great.
We have we have mini pots, and we have 3 propane burners, and we heat it outside, and we got a system.
I'm sure.
We didn't used to use the propane burners, but you know, we have 10 grandchildren, and they all like a lot of applesauce. So we've had to kind of skyrocket our numbers of jars. And so we thought, you know, maybe it wouldn't be extravagant to get these turkey boilers.
Then you
And
have
I
to have
felt
a
kind
good
of bad,
source for
turkey
your
boilers.
apples.
What's that?
You have to have a good source.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, but you know, there's, for years and years we used low spray apples, and I think they were great. But when I realized how much applesauce we were eating, which was considerable, I thought maybe I should try and search for organic apples. And I have, through the years, found organic apples. There are apple orchards around that are still growing some organic.
You peel your apples?
No.
No. I didn't show you that. You want to move this pot? This is a sort of thing we've used for years. It works really well. Victorio strainer or a Squeezo or whatever. You quarter the apples, you throw them in the pot with water, you boil it, and then you pour them in here and you turn this thing. Seeds and all. And the seeds and the skin and the stems come out that way, and the sauce goes into the pot. Now, when we're doing it, I turn it so that the pot sits on a stool. Like I would turn it around, the pot would be sitting here, and so it runs right into the pot. And if you're going to do major applesauce, get something like this. 2 years ago, my son Barry bought us an electric one. It's faster, but I hate it because it makes noise.
You can't talk while it's on, and it's really fun, you know, when you're working together to be able to talk, but it is very fast. So, there you go.
All right, if you'd like some, you can come up and help yourself. Just take one, and if there's some left, you can take 2.